They do have a timeout. Decide not to use it. Curry, way downtown. Bang! Bang! Oh, what a shot from Curry! With 0.6 of a second remaining.
Yo, what's up, everybody? This is the Outlet Pass Podcast, episode 28. I'm your resident JT McConnell, the homie's homie. More importantly, my real name, Justin DiVirgilio, and on the line with me, our official Raptors correspondent, NBA referee evaluator, and Raptors fan, Matt Larouche. How you doing, Matt?
What's going on?
Nothing much. Just free agency has died down since Sunday when it kicked off at 6 p.m. And I just wanted to pose this question because of all the signings that happened. How much does the league care about tampering?
Absolutely. It's funny because we're now kind of experiencing this where everybody's getting mad that Kawhi hasn't signed yet. And we can talk about that later. But Kawhi is legitimately the only free agent that's actually following the rules, right? That didn't have a meeting already set up beforehand, didn't know where he was going beforehand. Like all of these meetings. I mean, we think he's been waiting too long, or it's been like an eternity before we even hear any type of inkling of what he's going to decide. But like, it's legitimately only been 3 days into free agency. Meanwhile, we have like guys like Kemba Walker and JJ Redick that are signing within minutes, or like saying that they're signing within minutes of free agency opening, which means like they already knew, they had already talked to front offices. So I think it's just like the league just swipes this under the rug as like, as long as you're not blatantly doing it mid-season, like this is just what happens.
Okay, see that's along the lines of what I think is because of like, if you like Kemba Walker, his season was done in April, so he had a lot of time to think about his decision and where he would stay or where he would play if he wanted to do a sign trade, which he wound up doing, and those teams who wanted to covet him and wanted to sign him had all that time to get in contact with him too. I was listening. What was I listening to? The Woj pod, I believe, and they said the NBA draft combine is technically where free agency starts because all the new guys have their agents there, and then teams are there, and all those agents represent all other players in the league who could be hitting the market. So it's a slippery slope where I don't like how they like to pick when tampering matters, because that's technically, like, if we're legally following something, tampering happens all the time.
Yeah. It's a tough like line to decide, because in the middle of the season you just can't have like another team like blatantly trying to convince your own player to come to their team. Like if for like this year, for example, LeBron can't just go out there and say, Kawhi, come to the team in the middle of the Raptors season, right? It's just like, okay, let's calm down. But there needs to be a point. Like it's so dumb that we have free agency started where they fixed it this year, because it used to just be like at midnight on July 1st was the first, like at the time where you could theoretically start talking to players, and it was just dumb. Like midnight, like people are gonna like have meetings at like 1 a.m. On July 1st, like about free agency. Like they're obviously gonna talk before that.
Yeah.
So they moved it down to 6 p.m. the day before on June 30th. But I mean, we have now a 5-day period where it's like, oh, you can talk to them, but you can't sign them until the 6th, because all these deals that we're talking about, all right, that have already been, none of these have been signed on paper. Not a single one is like set in stone. And I think we saw the last time we saw like anything like actually change DeAndre Jordan. It can happen that these deals actually don't go through. The ones that are verbally agreed on, like some player can have a change of heart right before signing, and we can end up with a DeAndre Jordan situation. But I think it's as soon as the last game of the finals is over and like they all officially become free agents, like just let them do their thing, right? Like you don't need to have this period where like, oh, we're gonna act like teams aren't talking to other to their players. Like Kemba Walker decided he didn't want to go to Charlotte anymore, and like within hours, we're like, all right, Boston already has offered him, or like he's going to Boston for the max. I'm like, they obviously talked. It's not just like Kemba was like, okay, cool, Boston sounds like a good fit. Let's do that.
Yeah, you
like,
don't scramble that quickly for a plan.
Yeah, like they obviously talked, right? And like Boston obviously saw that he was not staying in Charlotte. And then they obviously talk. There's no way they're just like, oh, yeah, cool. It makes sense for us. It makes sense for you. And we'll meet 5 minutes after the 6 p.m. deadline start of the free agency. So having it just start after Game 7 of the NBA Finals, like give them till probably the next day. But set a time like 9 a.m. the day after the last game of the Finals, and it's like fair game. You can talk to whatever free agent because they're all free agents at that point.
I like where you're heading. Let me just tweak it a little bit. Since if it was Game 7 in the NBA Finals, you want to give the team who won the ultimate prize some chances to breathe and celebrate after the parade. There you go. I'm glad
the parade is the benchmark, which I think would be actually it would be really funny to have that officially in the rules. Like at 9 a.m. the morning after the team that's won
signs and trades somebody who just won.
Yeah.
Like
because it would be hilarious if like we had the parade and Kawhi it was like already on the way to the Lakers. Like it would have been a really funny juxtaposition. Seeing him on the stage and be like, yeah, I'm going to LA, like knowing that he was already going to LA at that point or something like that.
Now, one more thing with tampering is, do players get fined for that more, or is it more of a thing with the front office guys?
I believe so. I believe the rules that I have seen is the players are usually not liable at all in terms of tampering, because to tamper, I believe you need to have, because this is what happened with Spencer Dinwiddie with the Nets. He's a good friend of Kevin Durant, and they say that he played a big role in having him come to Brooklyn. And it's as long as he's not getting official directives from the front office to talk to a free agent, he can say whatever he wants.
Okay, because they're colleagues in the same
they're colleagues,
organization.
And they're talking, they're friends, and like who wouldn't be if your friend like, hey, come play in Brooklyn with me, right?
Yeah.
Like if you're buddies with some like if let's say for example we're both NBA superstars, right? Well, Spencer Dinwiddie, he's a good player. He's not a superstar, but not my point. But we're talking, and it's like, hey, I'm like got a good situation here. Why don't when you're a free agent, come on down, right? Like, I mean, can you not? It's not like you can't talk like that with your friends, as long as it's not the Brooklyn front office telling Spencer Dinwiddie, hey, you need to talk to Durant and tell him to come to us. I think they're all in the clear.
Or even if he was like, even if they couldn't be like, yo, come when you're a free agent, come hang out. Just like, yo, this summer, come hang out. I'll be in New York. It's where I play. Come out. I'll show you the city if you don't know like what I like to do. And then you just do it that way. And you have evidence saying, oh, we just hung out in New York. It's a slippery slope.
It's a slippery slope, but I mean, it's all the drama that the NBA likes to create, right? Like, it wouldn't be the NBA without it. So
it's such a reality show.
Yeah, I don't think they'll change the rules, but I don't think they'll do it. I think this is kind of it's the same thing as like speeding on the highway, right? The speed limit's like 55, but everybody's going 70 and no one cares.
Yeah, the speed limit is only a speed limit when the cop is around.
Exactly. As long as Magic Johnson isn't actually trying to get player like blatantly in the press conference saying, "Hey, this player should come play with us," I think it's fine, right? It's like as long as you're not blatantly going fast in every single other car on the highway while the cops are around, then you're all right.
All right. Well, let's get into the array of moves that happened in the past. Well, I feel like basically everything happened on Sunday and Monday. We're recording on the 4th of July right now. So, and it's only right that we start with my team, the Philadelphia 76ers. Talk about a shakeup.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Man.
And I'll tell you what, at first glance, I kind of want to say the 76ers might actually be better than what they... So originally, I mean, if you're a 76ers fan, or even me seeing that team play, I wanted them to run it back. As a basketball fan, or as like it just made sense. Run it back. That team was good enough to win an NBA championship this year, right?
Yep.
And now, out of all of this commotion, at first glance, and once you start looking deeper and deeper, you start seeing some problems with the lineup they currently have. But at first glance, I lean more towards this is actually a better version of what they had this year. And when you think that Jimmy Butler at this point, like now we know now that he didn't want to stay in Philadelphia. Yep. I think this is they did a fantastic job of replacing. I mean, he was already leaving, and now it's great that they were able to basically replace him with. Even if you argue that's even, like that's perfect. They did more than what they could. So, yeah, I know we can dissect it even more. What's your take?
Wish you were getting that. At first glance, it is a more intriguing roster. I think what the Sixers are doing with this roster is they're attacking an NBA trend head on. They're going with one and against one at the same time. Because currently the Sixers barely have any 3-point shooters, but they have a bunch of long, wiry guys who can guard at least 2 to 3 positions, and they're gonna play to one of their superstar strengths in Ben Simmons. Because the way I envision who they got, so they re-signed Tobias for the max, 5 years, $180. They got Al Horford, the Sixer killer, the Embiid killer, at 4 years, $109 million, with only $97 guaranteed, with $12 million in championship bonuses, which we can talk about. They get Josh Richardson in the Miami sign and trade with Jimmy Butler, re-sign Mike Scott, James Ennis. But those are the main guys, the first 3 or 4, right?
Yes.
So getting those guys long and wiry, I envision the Sixers being a smothering defense since the shortest guy is 6'6", and ending offensive possessions easily. Whoever is getting it's going to be either Ben Simmons running down the court. If Ben gets the rebound, somebody else is running down the court. They're going to put pressure on teams very quickly, I think. That's what I would like to see. I don't know what you think about the lineup and what it could do when they finally play. Obviously, that's all the way in October, but what do you envision early on the first week of seeing them next to each other?
Yeah, so what I said, like at first glance, they seem like they're better than what we previously had. And then you start kind of dissecting the specifics. So the positive parts, you've already mentioned this, is the defense is going to be absolutely ridiculous in terms of length, in terms of height. If you're already a poor rebounding team, you're going to have an absolute nightmare matchup against this team. And then also, like, good luck getting in the paint, right? Like, this team is now built to stop Giannis, right? Because Giannis is not going to do anything against this team. Like, you got Horford and Embiid, and plus everybody else on the floor is, like, incredibly tall and lanky. That's one positive. Now, the second positive is what we've already discussed on this podcast is Embiid needs rest. And having Al Horford, while Al Horford is older, right? And you think like, oh, he also needs rest. They kind of can play off each other in terms of the way you do your rotations. You can kind of mix it up now a little bit more because they both play center. And Al Horford actually prefers playing power forward than he does center, I believe. I think is what he said. And so you can start experimenting with different rotations. And you can start resting Embiid more. It's not like you need to play him like 42 minutes a game, right? Like we saw in the playoffs where he was off the floor for 2 minutes a game 7. They went minus 12. But even in the season, you can rest them for now probably 15 to 20 games fairly easily because you have an option to slot into the center role that's not complete trash. Respect to Boban, but come on. Now the problems. All right, that was the good stuff. The problems is the spacing is going to be absolutely atrocious.
Which is against the trend of what the league is going.
Yeah. The spacing is going to be absolutely atrocious. You already have a point guard that doesn't shoot the ball. Al Horford shoots the three well, okay,
for his size.
He was also on a Celtics team that could that allowed him to get open shots. With this spacing, I don't think he's getting that many open threes anymore.
Well,
Okay?
yeah, not as many. He's
Not
gonna
as
get
many.
some.
He's going to get some. I mean, it's just inherently in throughout the game. He's probably going to get some.
No, not inherently
Um,
out through the game. Obviously that's the obvious thing, but I'm talking about just Ben or Joel putting pressure on the defense where Al may just be chilling out on the wing area. He likes the wing or the key.
Yeah, exactly. And then offensive rebounds are going to be key for this. The story of the game, too, for 76ers, I guarantee, is going to be the amount of offensive rebounds they're able to snag. Because they were already a fantastic offensive rebounding team, and now they've just even got taller. And they're going to crash the boards even harder. But, yeah, no, like, you don't have, in terms of spacing, you don't have really that many three-point. Like, Josh Richardson is solid enough. But he shot the most three-point attempts of his career. He's only played for 4 years now. He shot the most three-point attempts of his career this year with 6 attempts a game, and he shot 35%, which is about league average. It's not going to blow anybody away.
Can we stay on Josh Richardson real quick? Because
Yeah, go for it.
what you're bringing, yeah, it's league average. The previous year he shot around 40, which obviously is good. He's 25. I think getting Josh Richardson was probably the best scenario, as I think he's going to flourish really a lot. Because if the Sixers don't have another primary ball handler who can use screens, I was watching some Josh Richardson highlights. He has a little offensive game to him. He likes to go left a lot. I think he's really going to have to take advantage of the touches when he gets them. So somebody's going to have to take the ball other than Ben. And Ben's going to have to be aggressive too. I just like the idea of finally having a swing man that the Sixers have needed for such a long time in Josh Richardson. That's it. That was my point.
That was your point?
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, and then, you can – Tobias Harris I don't know, man. Like Tobias Harris is weird because I think he's a good player, but I have a hard time giving him a max. Thinking he's a max contract type of player. You really didn't have any other option. If you had told me to choose between Butler and Harris, I'm taking Butler probably 99% of the time. But you basically got to work with what you had, who wanted to stay. I don't know. It's gonna be an interesting season because Tobias Harris, when you look at his stats. He played really well on the Clippers. Like when he was on the Clippers half of his season last year, his stats pop out. Like he shot over 40% from three. And this is a high volume. This is 55 games worth they played with the Clippers last year. He shot 44% or 43% from three, around 50% from the floor. And then when he got to the 76ers, that dipped down. That might be just because he kind of rolled into just a spot-up shooter role instead of it being a dominant ball handler. But again, he's not really going to have that role either on this team because Ben Simmons is going to be getting touches, Embiid's going to be getting touches, Horford's now going to be getting touches. So I don't know how much that changes. He did go cold in the playoffs from three, but again, that's spacing issues. Just I'm having a hard time envisioning it. And then a lot of this 76ers offense also came from dribble handoffs with JJ Redick, and he's gone.
I think it's a big year. It's a very big year. Like I said, they shook up the roster as to where believe there's a lot more questions in how they're going to play and what the scheme will be than confidence that they're going to make it work. At this point in time, it's July 4th. Obviously, the moves are so fresh, and we were used to the team that we wanted to see run it back. We're going to have to wait and see what they do. Obviously, no dribble handoffs because nobody can shoot, basically. You're not a lot of pick and roll unless you're going to run pick and roll with Josh Richardson.
Yeah, Simmons. I don't think. Yeah, Josh Richardson. I don't think is running pick and roll either. And you already didn't have it with Simmons. Like you ran it a little bit with Butler, but he's gone. Yeah, no. So you're not running pick and rolls anymore.
Now, do you believe that Butler left because of maybe possible issues with playing with either Embiid or Simmons? Or just he wanted to be the man somewhere else? Because he wasn't the man on the Sixers, even though he delivered in the playoffs.
Yeah, Butler's an interesting it's interesting because I, for the life of me, would have thought he wanted to stay. in Philadelphia because, the fans loved him. It seemed like a good fit. And while there was a lot of star power, you could kind of tell he was the go-to guy in pressure situations because we saw that in the playoffs. He's the closer, right? And some people love that role, and it's great. It's a win-win because now you're on a really good team, too. You do have some help. In Chicago, when he played in Chicago, he was the guy after D Rose fell. And then he got traded to the T-Wolves, and that really never worked out because he clashed with his teammates over work ethic. I don't really know what went wrong in Philadelphia. I don't know if it was he just wants to be the solo guy that he was on the Bulls, where he's like the cornerstone of the team. Maybe he just wanted to chill in South Beach. All right, he's at that point in his career that he's like, all right, cool. Like I'm just gonna take the money and party my ass off in Miami. Maybe that was it. I don't really know. I mean, like unless you get into his head and see what he was thinking, it confused me. I was surprised to see that he wanted to leave and that he did not. It's not like the 76ers were scared of giving him a max contract. They gave him a max contract. He just didn't want to do it.
Yeah, they offered it to him, which is so weird because he wanted to win, but he said what people wanted him to say and what he knew they wanted to hear. He didn't say how he wanted to win. He just said he wants to win, which is now people are believing that he lied to the Sixers fan base, that he wanted to be in the best situation possible, which is an understandable plight. And as a Sixers fan, I don't really hate him over it because I love Jimmy Butler as a player. I just like him. But I'm not going to feel no type of way about him leaving because he wanted to leave. It was only a rental. That was part of the risk. I would feel a lot more bitter if the Sixers didn't get Tobias back as well. Like, if it was one of them, they had to get one of them back. Both of them, obviously, was difficult because it didn't happen. But, I mean, it's just the way it goes. Like, he got to pick where he wanted to go this time. Like, he didn't have to be traded somewhere and then wind up clashing with people. I mean, that's just the way it is, honestly. Let's just round out the rest of the Sixers roster because we were talking about this in our group chat. We were talking about, obviously, a couple minutes ago, who is the Sixers' backup point guard or other guard that's going to handle the ball. Well, I don't think Mike Scott is one of those options. He's not.
You guys just signed a backup point guard, like legit. I think within the last hour, Raul
Neto,
however you pronounce it. I'm sorry.
27-year-old played 3 seasons with the Jazz. I don't really know much about him.
I'm taking a quick glance at the stats right now, and I'm not. It's very backup point guardy ish. Like he shot 33% from 3 last year. It's here. Assist to turnovers. It's not bad. 2.5 to 1. I mean, you basically could only sign a backup point guard to a vet min at this point. That's how much money you guys had left.
Yep.
So, I mean, this is pretty much what you're getting. Unless you're getting – and you're not a powerhouse enough that you're going to really attract a good backup point guard that wants to just ring chase. I don't think you're – like, let's say the Lakers sign Kawhi. They're a good enough team where now, like, you're seeing guys that probably can command $6 to $7 million a year taking vet mins because they want to win. They want to win a ring. You're not. I don't think that the 76ers team. There's too many question marks for that to happen. So this is pretty much what vet min gets you in terms of backup point guards.
Yeah. So we can't get the only vet min point guard I would probably want that I see on this list I have in front of me for free agents left is Rajon Rondo. But I don't think that would work.
Oh, dude, that'd be. We just talked about spacing, and you want to add Rondo to the team?
The bench.
Yeah, even then, as long if you want to keep a theme going, then sure.
Well, yeah. Well, obviously we don't have a backup point guard because Timothy John McConnell signed with the Pacers. I'm not gonna get rid of my intro name. I don't care. Still your resident JT McConnell. I always will be. It was a great run. Thank you for being a team mascot in a way, the energy of a team, and just always playing hard, embracing Philly when nobody was going to embrace us. So thanks, TJ. What else? Last thing on the Sixers is Ben Simmons was offered a 5-year, $168 max contract, which is great. And one question I want to pose is Ben Simmons a better player than Tobias Harris?
He's more valuable.
All right. I was just wanted to pose that question because although it's only going to be $12 to $10 million that Tobias gets more, it's just like it's funny how sometimes like the best player on the Sixers isn't getting paid the most, and it's not even Ben Simmons; it's Embiid. I just think that's kind of funny.
Yeah, I mean it's just because because we're in an era where the NBA is growing so much. It's basically like every other year. Because the cap is growing and all these max contracts are based on a percentage of the cap, it's ridiculous. Like we were talking, like when LeBron made his decision to go to Miami, right? He signed for $17 million. Now players are getting $35, $36 million a year. That was only like 8-9 years ago, maybe even less. Well, what year did he go to Miami?
2010.
2010, so like 9 years ago, and we've already doubled what a max contract is, pretty much. It's like it basically just comes down to what year are we signing your contracts, and obviously Simmons is still under that rookie kind of extension mode, so that's why he's not getting as much money as Tobias is getting. But I mean, when Giannis signs his max in 2 years, the back end of his deal is going to pay him $50 million a year.
That's nuts. That's so
ridiculous.
Crazy. Wow. All right. Well, I can't even. That's mind-boggling. The Sixers rounded out their roster. I think they did pretty well. I can't even Elton Brand had to pivot and made a good pivot to shore up the roster. Like the bench looks fine. The draft picks are healthy. The only thing again is this lack of shooting. So Kyle Korver might be here in Philly. I would love a reunion. Don't know if it's going to happen. He might go play with a guy he knows he can win and play with easily in LeBron, but it's remained to be seen. Now, back to Miami since we were talking about them. Jimmy Butler got a 4-year, $141 million contract. I think his one YouTube vlog revealed it. It was the first one for his free agency vlogs. Is episode 1, Family. He said he likes... Like when he woke up, he was in the car riding with somebody. He said, "When I wake up in warm weather, I just feel different. Like I like it better." So that could be one of the deciding factors of playing Miami. I don't know. This took like a day and a half to get done though with the sign and trade. It involved the Sixers, the Heat, the Clippers, and the Blazers. So the Heat got Jimmy Butler and Myers Leonard. Miami's trying to do something. Pat Riley pulled it off. I just want to say I kind of want some credit for saying that the Heat were a dark horse for Jimmy Butler. I just had a feeling.
It just took 4 teams and a bunch of cap manipulation, but he got there.
Yeah, that you already know I barely understand the cap. And it was really confusing. And
in a vacuum, yes. In a vacuum, Jimmy Butler to Miami could have been 4K. Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, credit to you on that one. I'll give you that one.
Thanks. Now, since the Heat might not even make the playoffs, we don't have to stay on them long. They got
the Heat will be a 7 seed this year,
which is cool. Have a blast. Having your team.
They'll lose 4-0 to the 76ers.
Have a blast having your fans show up late to your home games and playoff games and leave early. If you really like that, cool. Just go to South Beach a lot, and you'll drink away your pain. It's cool. The Clippers, who'd they get in that deal? They got Mo Harkless, a Miami future first, which isn't eligible until 2023. It's lottery protected. There's one until 2025 as well, and rights to Matthias Lesort from the Sixers, who was the 50th pick in the 2017 draft. So only one player useful out of that is Mo Harkless. And as well, they made some moves by re-signing Patrick Beverley to a 3-year, $40 million contract and signing Rodney Magruder to 3 years, $15 million. Can't tell you the last time Rodney Magruder played in meaningful NBA minutes. I'm not even trying to diss him. It's just that one came out of nowhere, kind of. Because, like, I don't know why he's getting $5 million a year. Like, what has he done recently? Do you know?
No. No clue, dude.
Rodney Magruder. Like,
Jesus. Like, I mean, he averaged 23 minutes last year on the Heat.
All right, I'm
I don't
going
know.
through it.
I mean, like,
Nah.
sure.
Oh.
Why not? Like, he's a shooting guard. He's there. He's
It's the Clippers
Yeah,
have
I don't
enough
got much
guards.
on. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not a big. I didn't watch a lot of Heat games this year.
No, it's
unfortunately.
cool. It's just the Clippers have enough guards, so you kind of could have let him. You could have let him walk. You could have got someone else, because they're still in the Kawhi Leonard sweepstakes. That's really bad if they miss out on him, because that was basically like the whole time, the whole year. Everyone was saying. I said it multiple times. I thought he was going there just based off what I heard from other insiders, because obviously I'm not an insider. That would be a big fat. Like, I think they would get a C on their offseason if they lose out on Kawhi Leonard, because getting Patrick Beverley back is big. And Mo Harkless is a decent player. And getting these picks, obviously GMs like to work with picks and assets, so that's okay. And then the other team in the trade is the Trailblazers, who got the long-troubled Hassan Whiteside. How do you feel about that?
Dude, Hassan Whiteside, as soon as he got paid, he just stopped, like, caring. And, like, I'm not kidding. Like, he just stopped. Like, the Hassan Whiteside is, like, a really interesting story, because he started out as, like, a D-League player who was, like, they found out he was a really good rebounder. I don't even know if he started with the Heat when he was in the G League. Let's see here.
Wait, what?
But he started on the G League, and they brought him up, and they realized, holy shit, this guy can rebound. And then, like, he's just dominant enough in the paint that all right, this guy's a double-double machine. And then he got good enough that he got paid. He went from, like, making nothing in the G League to getting a really nice contract within, like, a few years. And then he kind of just stopped giving a shit. And so, I don't know. Like, I think he's getting paid a little bit too much money, and I mean, it solves the Trailblazers' center problem if Yusuf Nurkic isn't there. But it's confusing because Yusuf Nurkic is coming back.
Now, let me stop you right there, just because you said he kind of stopped caring. So this could actually help. Let me play devil's advocate, because if Nurkic is coming back and he's getting the bulk of the minutes, so Hassan can get like 20, and he's going to have to learn and know that those are the only minutes he's going to get. So he's going to have to make them worth it. So he might care at that point, because no player likes to sit on the bench, right? So make your minutes worth it. And that could energize him. Just a thought.
I mean, yeah, it is a contract year for him. So, absolutely. I could see, yeah, because I mean, he's getting paid right now $27 million.
Wow.
And then after that, it's free agency again. And he's not getting that again. You know what I mean?
No.
So, like, I think the people that don't care about the sport or stop giving a shit, they start caring when the money comes back up. So we'll see.
Coincidence? Good coincidence.
Yeah. So, we'll see. I don't know. Like, it makes a ton of sense if Yusuf Nurkic isn't coming back, or it's like a bigger injury, but he was already running around or like doing workouts, I think a few days after like the Trailblazers season ended. And so I think he's back for the beginning of the season, no problem. So I don't know. We'll see.
We will see. And, we're going to have to wait 2 years to see the duo of KD and Kyrie. So we'll talk about the Nets getting both of them. Well, there's a new team in New York for real. I think they finally took it, because The Knicks are the Knicks, and the Nets have made the playoffs last year, had a potentially franchise player, and now they get Kevin Durant for 4 years, $164 million. Kyrie, 4 years, $144 million. DeAndre Jordan, 4 years, $40 million. Garrett Temple for 2 years, $10 million. And Wilson Chandler for the 1 year, 2.6 vet minimum. I like their moves. Like, the Nets, when they're going to be healthy in 2 years, pose a legitimate threat to win the Eastern Conference, I think.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't even think it's a threat to win the Eastern. It's a threat to win the entire thing, right? Like, the Nets, if KD comes back and is 80% of the player he is, just 80% of the player he is now, they have to be title favorites, I think.
Yeah.
They have too good of a team. They already had a really good team. Let's talk about what that. So they took the team this year was a 6th seed, and I think they drew the 76ers is kind of a tough draw when you're a 6th seed. Like you're thinking you're drawing a weaker team, a weaker 3 seed than that, because the 76ers in some years, if that's a full team, are like a 1 or a 2 seed. Just the top 3 of the Eastern Conference is top heavy this year. But that's a solid team. And now we replaced D'Angelo Russell with Kyrie Irving, which is a slight upgrade. Same kind of personality. It's an upgrade.
Yep.
Okay. They added DeAndre Jordan instead of Jared Allen, because Jared Allen just got bullied down low by Embiid. But I think DeAndre Jordan, I know he's older. He's starting to. How old is DeAndre Jordan, by the way? I need to look that up this year.
I believe DeAndre is in his 30s.
Yeah, because I feel like I've seen him forever. Yeah, he's 30 years old. So, yeah, he's still fine. Right? So, DeAndre Jordan's an upgrade over Jared Allen. Jared Allen will learn a lot from playing with DeAndre Jordan, right? So, just that, we're like, all right, yeah, the Nets now go from a 6 seed to probably like a 4 or 5. Let's just add arguably one of the best players in the world.
Okay.
And then that takes them from now the 4 seed to the 1 seed in the East, I think. Or at least a competition for the 1 seed in the East. And then they come out of the East, who knows? They're winning the championship if KD's healthy. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, they got so many good pieces there. They got Spencer Dinwiddie, Karis LeVert's a good player. Jared Allen's only going to grow. I feel like I'm missing someone.
You're missing Karis LeVert, Spencer Dinwiddie. Let's see. Is that it? Is that their bench? Rondé Hollis Jefferson's a free agent.
I feel like there's another one I'm missing. Let me see here. Brooklyn Nets. Let me get their roster up.
No, I think that's their roster because what's it called? Left. Dudley left. Jefferson's a free agent. No Shabazz. Joe Harris? You're missing Joe Harris.
Joe Harris is a 1 3-point contest. He was trash in the playoffs this year. But,
JJ locked him down.
Well, he also was missing wide open threes. Like he got game 4. I remember watching game 4, and I was losing my mind watching because the Nets should have won game 4. You guys, the Celtics did get lucky in that one because Joe Harris bricked maybe 6 open threes in the second half.
Yeah, I'm grateful for that. I wish we got a little luckier later on.
Grateful you should be grateful for that. But I mean, this is solid. This team just screams like a lot of Karis LeVert and Spencer Dinwiddie only get better this year. All right. So, and then we replaced D'Angelo Russell with Kyrie Irving. We're not replacing him. We're not replacing Jared Allen with DeAndre Jordan, but upgrade there, and he's going to get better. And then we're adding fucking Kevin Durant.
2 years, yeah.
Granted, in 2 years, right? But that just gives even more time for the Nets to kind of do their thing because they're going to keep all these guys into Kevin Durant's next year.
Absolutely.
Right? When he starts playing.
One thing that is on Kyrie Irving is that he can't fuck this one up. Because if he does, dude, we got to stop talking about him in the light of a guy that can lead a team or is a superstar player. He has superstar talent.
I think he's a superstar talent. I think having Kevin Durant there grounds him.
No, but what about this year? I know
Kevin Durant's still around. That's the problem. You know what I mean? Kevin Durant is now that the signings happen, it's always going to be this is Kevin Durant's team and Kyrie's just here.
Okay.
Right?
Yep.
I think that's the way I envision it, and I think it's the way a lot of the media is going to envision it, and a lot of the fans are going to envision it. Kyrie must know that this is what's happening, right? Is Kevin Durant might not be playing this year, but this year is they're not like let's be honest with ourselves, they're not winning the championship this year. Like they're not doing it. Like they're going to be a solid team. They'll compete. They'll probably end up the 4 to 6 seed in the East. Unless something drastic happens, like some injuries, or for whatever reason, someone like Karis LeVert just takes off, right, and becomes like a superstar. But this is Kevin Durant's team. Everybody's just waiting for next year. I don't give a shit what Kyrie Irving does. He might be the worst influence of all time. It might be another like Celtics season where like they basically finish 500, and everybody's kind of pissed off. But everybody's looking for next year. Everybody's just looking for. Everybody's like, no worries. We'll just figure it out when Kevin Durant shows up because that's when we start actually playing. That's when that's when the finals aspirations show up. That's when we're really playing for real.
I feel like I have the correct amount of worry with Kyrie Irving being the best guy on that team because we just saw what happened. He didn't play that well with young guys who did something, and now you're going to a team in the division that you were just playing in. And they went to the first round. Like they were one of the youngest teams in the league. It's a similar situation. So hopefully, whatever he's been posting on Instagram, learning about life or whatever he's been doing, hopefully he applies it to the basketball season in October. For Nets fans' sake, I don't want the Nets to do that well as a Sixers fan, but it's inevitable with all the talent they have and no injury. Now, they also got a first-round pick for D'Angelo Russell, who was in the sign-and trade, which sent him to the Golden State Warriors, where the rich get richer, right? It's just, that was a really big shocker. Would you say that was the most shocking deal of free agency?
I don't know. I don't know what it. I mean, you knew the Warriors were going to pull something. Right, it's the Warriors. They're not just going to roll over and die. So
it's fair.
I don't know. It'll be interesting. What do you think is going to happen this season?
He's getting traded when Clay gets back.
Yeah, like that's the thing. It's like Bob Myers, the GM for the Warriors, is like Durant's leaving. Might as well just get something out of it. So they can't trade him until December 15th, I believe. But yeah, no, he's a great stopgap for Klay Thompson, and as soon as Klay Thompson shows up, they'll be like, all right, cool, let's see what we can get for D'Angelo Russell. They'll probably rope the T-Wolves into trading too much stuff for him. But yeah, I mean, D'Angelo Russell somehow got paid a max contract.
I could see, if they roped the T-Wolves into giving them too much, I could see them getting like Jarrett Culver and Robert Covington for him. If salaries match, obviously you would know better about that than I would. But that's a good haul. Those two guys, they need players who can do that, who do the things they do.
The Warriors are going to be paying so much luxury tax this year. It's ridiculous. They're paying, I think, over $300 million in payroll this year.
Wow. I believe I saw that too.
They're opening a new arena, which they expect to generate about $300 million in additional revenue of what they previously had, and I think that's the only reason they're doing it. But $300 million, man, Jesus.
It's not what it used to be, Matt. It's not what it used to be. Speaking of just money, Klay Thompson got the 5-year, $180 max, well deserved.
Yeah, good for him.
They re-signed Kevon Looney to a 3-year, $15 million deal. Great. He's an integral part of their core rotation. And in the D'Lo deal, they also got Shabazz Napier and Travion Graham, which is good to plug into the rotation because I believe McKinney and Cook could be on their way out in Golden State.
Cook's out. Cook's not coming back.
Well, yeah. And I feel like McKinney is out there as well. So you have these two guys to replace what they did. I mean, just Golden State, D'Angelo Russell and Steph Curry, just the prospect of them playing together is going to be interesting. We're going to see how good or how much D'Angelo Russell has grown at finding guys, just in general. And obviously, first in line would be Steph Curry because he's going to play the shooting guard role on the team. But it's just funny. It's just they're going to have a all-star lineup in their guard positions yet again. I just didn't expect it, to be honest. I feel like everyone was caught off guard with that.
Everybody was.
Oh, the last thing the Warriors did, they traded Andre Iguodala. I almost forgot. For a 24 first protected 1 through 4 pick. I don't think they traded all these picks to Memphis.
No. They're all protections.
Oh, okay.
It's like if it doesn't convey the first year. Yeah, no, it's confused. The way it was tweeted out was it seemed like they traded like 3 first-round picks for him, or with him to take him on. But no, it's all what the protection. If it's protected that year, it gets conveyed to this year with this protection, and then it gets conveyed to this year with this protection. It's one pick. It's only one draft pick, which will probably convey this year because I don't think the Warriors are picking a lottery pick.
Okay. All right, that makes sense. I feel like I heard that, but like the way I read it in an article, it had them all together, so I was confused. All right, that's cool. Iggy went to the Grizzlies, going to get bought out. He had a great career in Golden State, and so it's cool. Now, since I actually watched his Breakfast Club interview where he said the Knicks weren't going to get anybody, so I mean he was right. They didn't get anybody that really worth something. They got a couple players. How do you feel about what the Knicks did?
Someone must have something on James Dolan, and it's been telling him to just ruin a basketball team.
Go on.
It's unbelievable. It's like not even offering Kevin Durant the max contract is. I get where you're coming from, where you're like, there's a risk that he doesn't come back the same. He's 32, and it's an Achilles injury, which, as we've discussed, is not one of those ones that like it's not like an ACL nowadays where you bounce back perfectly fine. Like there are some problems coming back from Achilles injury, but this was perfect. It's a perfect storm for the Knicks. You sign Kevin Durant, he sits out a year, so you're still trash, right? You get another high lottery pick, okay, to go along with Barrett. Barrett develops. Your rookies still get all this playing time because Kevin Durant's not playing. And then you still have room for another max contract this upcoming next year. And your main attraction is, hey, come play with Kevin Durant. And the Knicks decide we're not even offering a contract.
The Knicks
doesn't make any sense.
The Knicks are just frustratingly bad on purpose, like logically, like. I don't even understand how someone being a Knicks fan could be a Knicks fan anymore. It's just the team doesn't care about winning. You guys all pay to see the games. You bitch about them when they're bad. You get gassed when they get somebody that they could be good. But obviously, this was the summer that was supposed to be partly theirs, and they didn't do anything. They got a bunch of decent NBA players. They got a couple guys I wanted the Sixers to try and get. They got Reggie Bullock, 2 years, $21 million. Julius Randle, 3 years, $63 million. That's the best signing out of everybody. Taj Gibson, 2 years, $20 million. Bobby Portis, 2 years, $31 million. Wayne Ellington, 2 years, $16 million. Elfrid Payton, 2 years, $16 million. Why all 2-year deals except for Julius Randle? I believe
they're all team options in the second year too. I think they can all jettison these guys after next year, except for Julius Randle. It doesn't make any sense. Like, it's almost kind of reassuring to the fans, like, hey, they're not going full tank mode because we've seen now that the lottery is not just like, hey, whoever has the worst record wins the first pick. So not going full tank mode. They'll be bad. They'll still be terrible, but they'll be probably like 26th or 27th team in the NBA. I mean, maybe 28th, 29th.
Something closer to be proud of right there.
Right. But then this is something that I heard. I forget which podcast I heard. but good teams that have a lot of cap space, okay, they don't use – when they strike out on big free agents, all right, teams that are smart with their cap, they don't then use the cap to pay middling free agents, okay? They use their cap space to find a desperate team that needs to offload a shitty contract, a shitty expiring deal, and they get picks or something out of it, okay? The Knicks, no one's signing these guys like Portis and all that stuff. No one's like lining up to sign these guys like right away, right? Like they have time. They don't need to like get these guys off the market right now. Julius Randle probably would have had a good market for him, but everybody else, like, and like, let's go, don't get me wrong, like, the Knicks don't need Julius Randle. Like, they're not going to win anything anytime soon. But they could have waited to find teams that need to, like, made their moves and like, oh, we're feeling good. We just need to offload this really shitty contract, and we'll just attach like 2 first rounders with it. All right, that's what they could have done with their cap space. Instead, now we have what you just named 4 guys. I'm like, all right, yeah, I know who they are. I've seen them play. They're not bad, right? Like, they're good bench guys, but they're not world beaters. Like, what? Like, that's not. They're not gonna be fun to watch.
Yeah.
Like, what are they doing? What's the game plan?
They're
just lighting money on fire.
There is exactly. There's no game plan. It's a direct insult to the league, to their fans, and he clearly doesn't care or has something against him that he can't. Whatever his business, all his business can do is make money. The Knicks can't make money and be successful because then whatever James Dolan hidden scandal would come out. I don't know what it is, or he just doesn't care, and he doesn't have to sell the team because he owns the team, and he can do what he wants. The Knicks are just – I don't want to hear the Knicks being talked about next year. Other than these signings, I'm not going to talk about the Knicks. I don't care about them. There's no reason to care. What, because of the building they play in? Cool, whatever. I also don't get the hype at MSG, but it's a different conversation.
Oh, yeah, I never liked – I mean, I've only been to Madison Square Garden for Rangers games, for hockey, but I never liked the building.
All right, there's 2 of us. Speaking of high-profile buildings on the West Coast now, let's just get into the Lakers. They signed Jared Dudley to a vet min and Troy Daniels to a vet min, which is, I don't know who Troy Daniels is, honestly. And Jared Dudley.
I believe Troy Daniels is that guy on the Rockets that got suddenly super hot in the playoffs from 3. I think it's the same guy.
All right.
I think I know who he is.
Well, they're just waiting for Kawhi Leonard, which is a bad business strategy, if you ask me. Like, why would you not try and get your vet minimum guys anyway? Like, just to get them out the way, and then get Kawhi. Like, you could do both at the same time.
Yeah, you can do both. You can do both at the same time until July 6th, and you need to sign Kawhi before you sign the vet mins, because you need to sign Kawhi before all these vet mins sign their contracts. But yeah, I understand that you can have all these in principle already. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I mean, honestly, like these past few days, Kawhi is not. He's not sending out any type of hints. It's a free for all.
I love it.
Point, like,
I absolutely love it.
It legitimately, nothing will surprise me when he announced it at this point. It could be the Lakers. It could be the Raptors. It could be the Clippers. Like, people are rolling out the Clippers because not a lot of noise is coming about, like, oh, he's, like, interested in the Clippers, or he's leaning heavily towards the Clippers, because all of those are dead wrong. Chris Broussard is a clown. Okay? Because he keeps trying to guess what's going on, and he just looks at, like, for example, today he tweeted that Drake was heavily involved in the meeting that the Kawhi and the Raptors had last night or yesterday.
I saw that.
Drake was in Miami yesterday.
Shooting a video.
He flew into Toronto at 7 a.m. this morning. He wasn't there. And you think that Masai, I understand that Drake has a lot of appeal, but you think Masai and Bobby Webster, who's the actual GM title of the Raptors, is going to have Drake in the primary meeting talking to Kawhi.
It's just comical. Who tweeted that for him?
Like, come on, man.
Who tweeted that for Chris Broussard? Do you think that was his own idea?
It has to be. Chris Broussard also, I I don't know if you're a big NBA Reddit guy,
I enjoy it.
but there was a guy on NBA Reddit, and he had a decent track record. And his username went something like RDA. He was referred to as RDA on Reddit, and he sneaky called Horford to the Sixers about 2 weeks before it actually happened, and everybody's like, "What the hell are you talking about?" But he had a decent track record where you kind of looked at some of his posts, and you're like, "All right, this guy actually might have inside sources to the Lakers," and he on Reddit at one point, I think a few days ago, said, "Oh, Kawhi to Lakers is officially done. They're just working out the contract details. We'll hear an announcement soon." And then Chris Broussard, maybe an hour later, like Reddit started freaking out because they knew this guy's kind of track record. They're like, "This guy might actually know something. This guy might actually like work for the Lakers. Might know something more." Chris Broussard an hour later tweeted, "Hey, I'm 95% sure the Lakers got Kawhi right now." And then now we've all known that's turned out to be completely false. Some people did a little bit of digging. This RDA guy actually might be like Jeannie Buss's nephew. And that's how he's been getting all of his sources. But I think it's just a really comical because we found out Chris Broussard follows RDA on Twitter. And it's just, I don't know, man. Some of these insiders are just making stuff up as they go.
Yeah, it's funny how the insiders are trying to get the inside scoop from, like, the internet investigates everything.
Yeah.
I don't know how these people do it. I don't know how they find the time, the patience. Just, I don't know how they find all this stuff. I usually sit back on my phone like, wow, I'm in amazement. But do you think the Raptors have a bigger chance to get Kawhi back or the Lakers?
Dude, I've got no clue.
Okay.
I've legit, at this point, nothing will surprise me. I think Kawhi, in general, the way he acts, the professionalism that he exhibits, he was meeting with all three teams regardless. Okay, like he could have gone to the Lakers meeting and immediately been like, "This is where I want to be," and he would have gone and listened to the Clippers and Raptors meeting as well. I think that's just the kind of guy he is because we've seen this. This is how he acts. He's all business, right? He's all business.
Yes, sir.
And now he's taking his time to make a decision. And honestly, like, there was a theory put out that he's actually testing all three of these teams on if they don't leak information or not. And it could honestly be a thing because there's nothing coming out. Nothing. Everybody's speculating. Anything you've seen about, like, oh, he's leaning heavily towards here or he's leaning heavily towards there or there's 95% chance he's signing here, it's all speculation.
Yeah, I tweeted something like that. I don't believe anything about Kawhi because he is he's the quietest superstar ever in a time where everyone is loud. Like, everyone tweets.
So,
Good.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me at all unless he throws a complete curveball and it's not any of the three teams. That's like Sacramento or something like that, which I think would be hilarious. If he went to I'd root for Sacramento if he went to Sacramento.
I would like that squad.
Yeah, but it's at this point it's just like sit back and relax and just watch the fireworks because he's gonna pick whatever he wants to do and so be it. Like, it could be the Lakers, and then the entire league hates the Lakers. I mean, it's not like the entire league already doesn't hate the Lakers, but we're going to hate them even more. It could be the Clippers. Like, it would make total sense if he went to the Clippers too, or he just comes back to the Raptors. And then what's interesting about that is Danny Green still hasn't signed anywhere, and Danny Green could have secured the bag at the beginning of free agency, and he's waiting on what Kawhi is doing. Before doing any decisions, which I think is really interesting.
Yeah, let's see. The Raptors don't have a lot to do this offseason, but they have these two. And
yeah, that's the good thing about what we're all saying too is the Clippers, the Lakers, and the Raptors. Out of all three of those teams, the only team that can really afford to wait is the Raptors because they can't do anything anyways. The only guys that can re-sign are their own guys. So Danny Green might at one point just say, "Hey, I'm done waiting," and go sign with I think the Mavs right now are the ones that are giving him the biggest offer. The Lakers might give him a big offer if they don't get Kawhi. But the Lakers cannot afford to wait that much. Like, I mean, they now they're kind of into it, but now they lost a lot of the role players that if he doesn't sign, they don't really have that many pickings to fill the rest of the cap space. And then the Clippers, same deal. So, I don't know.
I think the Lakers are going to wait until as long as humanly possible. I just got that feeling that the Lakers are going to procrastinate.
The Lakers are going to have to play around a little bit with the cap and try to delay this trade, because if this trade goes down on the 6th, they actually don't have any more. They won't have enough cap room to sign Kawhi. They need to get the deal done before the trade goes through.
Oh, that's terrible. How do you wind up that cap stricken?
I mean, this is like what I was explaining last podcast. It's just so close. Like, the margin of error for the cap with them is so close that they need to have him signed before they sign any of their vet mins, and then they need to have him signed before that trade goes through, because the salaries match. The trade, like I'm not gonna go. We already did all this, but
yeah,
I don't know. I think we probably hear from him tomorrow. I honestly think he had a full day of no distractions. He didn't have to take any meetings. I believe he's still in Toronto today. I think we probably hear tomorrow.
Oh, hey, I'm gonna let you know, since I can't speak to all your fans. Waiting outside the hotel where he's meeting, that's not gonna help. Like, that doesn't do shit. Like, if you know who you guys had, he doesn't care about none of that.
Yeah, you're right.
But back to what I was saying, I don't think standing outside of a hotel helps or really hurts where Kawhi wants to go. I think, like, on the court, he's focused and locked in. Like, outside distractions don't really do anything for him. That's just how I feel.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to control that many people. I mean, it happens. It happens in LA with celebrities. I'm sure it just doesn't. We don't hear about it in LA because that's just common ground for them, right? So, I don't know. It was kind of crazy. There's choppers and stuff like that following his SUV like he was O.J. Simpson. But I mean, that's just free agency, dude. We're all in the business of tracking flights now.
Dude, I hated that, but. Let's move on to the Boston Celtics. Like we mentioned earlier, Kemba Walker went in there with a big sign and trade. They retooled pretty quickly. They also signed Enes Kanter to a 2-year, $10 million deal, re-signed Brad Wanamaker to a 1-year vet min, and Daniel Tice to a 2 years, $10 million deal. The Celtics look better with Kemba Walker on the team than Kyrie Irving.
I don't know. Like, I think it's I don't really know. I just get. I mean, they lose Horford, which I think is like the heart of the team. I mean, they're going to be a solid team. I don't think they're world beaters. I think. I mean, they're going to compete at the top of the conference again. Like, we're not doing a rebuild like everybody thought that. Everybody was kind of hopeful that they just kind of fell apart. But I mean, they're the Celtics. They're going to come back. I don't know. Like, we'll have to see how Kemba works. I think it's a slight downgrade, but it makes up his no chemistry issues. Kind of makes up for him being slightly worse than Kyrie in terms of stats. Although the stats were pretty even over the past few years. Losing Horford is going to be big. They don't really have a big center presence. Enes Kanter, while he does have a steal of a deal, he should be paid more than $5 million a year. Plays zero defense. So they're gonna have a problem at the defense playing defense at the center position. We'll just have to see how Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown look this year.
Yeah, those are the two big pieces, as well as Gordon Hayward. Now, the team that they dealt with in the sign and trade is the famous Charlotte Hornets, and our famous segment. What are the Charlotte Hornets doing? Matt, can you tell us?
What the fuck are the Charlotte Hornets doing? Terry Rozier, you signed Terry Rozier to $20 million a year. Terry Rozier, I think he averaged 9 points last year. We've already discussed the shooting. He's never shot over 35% from the floor. Or 40% from the floor in any of his seasons. It makes no goddamn sense. That means Fred VanVleet is worth like $25 million. That's what you're telling me, right? You think Fred VanVleet good, great in the play. He was pretty bad in the first few rounds of the playoffs, but very good in the Eastern Conference Finals and in the finals. He's not worth $25 million a year.
Nowhere close.
Right now. Not right now. No. And you're telling me that Terry Rozier is worth $20 million a year, but you can't pay Kemba. It doesn't make any sense. I understand letting Kemba leave, okay? Because that team is not really getting anywhere, and you're stuck in the luxury tax if he stays, and you're still like a 7 seed, a 6 seed maybe.
Yeah, mediocrity.
But letting him leave and then bringing in someone way worse than him, with an ego worse than him, for still a stupid amount of money, it doesn't make any sense.
It's peak Charlotte Hornets. That's all. I mean, that's all I can really tell you. Awful. Let's move to the Indiana Pacers. They had a nice little offseason. They signed and traded for Malcolm Brogdon. 4 years, $85 million on that deal. Signed Jeremy Lamb, 3 years, $31 million. And like we mentioned earlier, TJ McConnell, 2 years, $7 million. So, and they lose Darren Collison to retirement, so that's where the McConnell signing makes sense. The Pacers are very guard heavy now. It's going to be interesting to see. I really like what they've done.
I mean, I think you can get away with it. The same way that the Nets kind of got away with it this year. Like the Nets had a ridiculous amount of guards this year, and they were fine. I think they have good enough bigs starting wise that they're fine. Like Miles Turner and Sabonis are like, I'm super high on both of those guys. Dude, Malcolm Brogdon, like that's the mistake that the Bucks are gonna hate, is letting him walk, because you don't find many people that shoot 50, 40, 90 that often. They're like unicorns sometimes. Like, and it might be like, oh, he'll get more minutes. It's small sample size, but Malcolm Brogdon shot. Like, I mean, he got a lot of usage too in that Bucks offense. So that Malcolm Brogdon signing is really nice. I'm a big fan of that. Oladipo's coming back. The Pacers are looking a little scary. Like the Pacers, they're going to be now like, let's say Kawhi stays in Toronto. The Eastern Conference is now, not only was it top heavy this year, it's not even more top heavy. With like, we're going to have the 76ers, the Bucks, the Raptors, the Pacers, and you can argue the Celtics, all vying for the top 5 spots. You could easily have someone like the Raptors be like the 4 seed this year.
Yeah, it's going to go either way, I think, with those 5 teams. What else? The Pacers, I really like what they did. Just getting multiple guards who can do multiple things on the floor. They can score. They play enough NBA defense to stay on the floor. They do what they're told in the right scheme. Like Malcolm Brogdon, Jesus, has never been the best player on this team. Neither Jeremy Lamb, neither TJ McConnell. The best guys coming back. So I feel like they'll all assimilate well together and they'll connect and gel.
They also got Jeremy Lamb and TJ Warren too. They got a solid squad.
Yeah, I forgot.
They have three TJs on their team.
Who's the other one? TJ
Their
Leaf?
Rookie. One of their rookies they drafted is TJ Leaf.
Oh, okay, from UCLA. Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Now, to Brogdon's former team, the Bucks, they acquired a 2020 first-round pick and 2 future firsts from Indiana. That may be where they score just to help out Giannis in coming years. Getting all 3 first-round picks, that's valuable. That's a really good deal. I don't know how they pulled that off. He's probably John Horst, his name is, right?
Horst, yeah.
Going to be in the running for Executive of the Year just based off that move alone, in my mind. Getting 3 first-round picks for... I know Malcolm Brogdon is a 50, 40, 90 guy, but still, 3 first-round picks.
Wait, they got 3 first-round? I thought they got 1 first-rounder and 2 seconds.
I believe I read it was 2 firsts.
Let me take a look here. Sign and trade. Let's get...
Either way, 3 picks is valuable because then you can flip those 2 seconds into another first. I feel like they understood what they were losing and got what they could have out of the Pacers.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the thing. Like, they weren't going to be able to pay him. That's like the one weird thing that I don't really get about the NBA is all these. I mean, this has been a really heavy sign and trade year, but like, restricted free agent. There is so in hockey, when you send a restricted free agent to an offer sheet, okay, and the other team decides not to match it. There's a compensation like ladder of what. Like, this just happened with one of the Carolina Hurricanes restricted free agents. The Canadians tried to sign him for like $8.5 million a year. Okay, and if the Carolina Hurricanes had let him go, they were going to receive Montreal's first, second, and third round pick of this year as compensation for letting him go. That's just built into the salary cap. Now, in the NBA, there is no such thing as that. Yeah, if you lose your restricted free agent, you're just gone. Like, you don't get anything.
Yeah,
so I don't really understand, like, why did you really need to sign and trade him? Unless the Bucks are just like, I guess we have to match it, right? And this is like kind of just a sweetener. The only thing I can think is that the Bucks were going to match it and keep him, but then they're just stuck in luxury tax, which I guess is why they trade those picks away, to just make sure that the Pacers actually got them. But let me do the research. I want to see what the actual compensation was.
Yeah, I just believe the Pacers are going to be a fun team to watch. They're going to be able to lock down on defense even more than they did last year. Although they lost one of their key contributors in Bogdanovich, now they got a couple guys who are willing to play defense and be a part of the team. Indiana, they love their basketball. That's for sure.
That they do.
Good.
Sorry to cut you off. I just looked. It is a first rounder and then 2 seconds.
My dyslexia got the best of me.
I mean, the Pacers are going to be good this year, so that first rounder is not that valuable. I think the Bucks are kind of pissed off because of the cap situation. You get basically giving Middleton the max kind of forced Brogdon out, and it's just like an unfortunate casualty of having too many players that you had to pay at the same time.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, like, I don't think you're happy with, even with that. I don't think you're happy if you're a Bucks fan that you lost Brogdon for just that.
I don't know, because you're the same team that has found first round gems late or mid first round, so you do have that thing to sit on if you want to fall on the positive side of the chip. But you do have a point for sure. Now, they also re-signed Brook Lopez, 4 years, $58 million. George Hill, 3 years, $29 million. Got Robin Lopez, 2 years, $4.8 million. The second year is a player option. And Wesley Matthews to the vet min. Nice little moves. Nothing crazy. Pretty much the same team except for Robin. And Wesley Matthews, they get from they could have just included him in that sign and trade. That's poaching Wesley Matthews away from the Pacers. In a way, I think that's a little development in the Brogdon trade. Not directly related, but in a way. Now, the last two teams we'll talk about are the Dallas Mavericks. Let's start with them first. Do you like what they've done so far?
I mean, it all depends on what Porzingis looks like this year, right? Like, you traded him knowing that he was going to sign a max with you. It's basically coming down to, is he going to be the same player, which I expect him to be the same player. They're just loading up on white guys down there. Like, it's like that's what they're doing. Like, I mean, like, they'll be solid. They'll be a great team. Like, it's going to be interesting to watch.
Yeah, you're right. They're loading up on white guys and Europeans mainly, which is, I mean, cool. They've seen it work in Texas for the past 20 years just to their rival with the Spurs. I like that they got Seth Curry back. He played there a couple years ago, I believe. 4 years, $32 million. I don't know who Maxi Kleber is. He got 4 years, $35 million. KP's going to get the max. They got Boban. I'm happy for Boban. They have the tallest front court in the NBA now of Boban and KP.
Danny Green is going to be a fantastic addition for them if he ends up signing there. Because I think if Kawhi, I mean, this might even happen before Kawhi because I don't know if Danny Green wants to wait around. But if Kawhi doesn't end up with the Raptors, I think Danny Green's going to the Mavs, and I think that's a solid fit for them as well.
I think Danny Green's a fit anywhere, but definitely on the Mavericks, that'll help out a young, rising Luka Doncic and help KP and everyone else. The whole team's basically young, except like they have a veteran coach. Last team, speaking of usually having white guys, the Jazz usually have white guys. And they signed one in Bojan Bogdanovic, 4 years, $73 million. How valuable is that signing? Because I feel like they just got the right-handed Joe Ingles to play with them.
No, Bogdanovic is he's pretty solid, and we just talked about Brogdon.
That's not a diss. Also,
yeah, it's we just talked about Brogdon, and Bogdanovic has fairly similar stats. He shot. I mean, his free throw. He shot 80% from free throw, and then just under 50% from the floor. But he shot like 42% from three. So he's just slightly under what Brogdon was this year. Brogdon didn't play as many games, so you can't exactly compare the two at the same time. But I think he's a solid player. Like, I mean, I like this signing by the Jazz. I think the Jazz are sneaky because the Lakers get the attention right now, but the Jazz are sneaky. Like, should be the favorite to win the West this year, right now.
Wow. I've been hearing a lot of Jazz Kool-Aid being sipped, but to say it and to hear it is a completely different thing from someone like that I know. Like, they're jumping everybody with their moves. I get that they had a really good offseason, but everyone?
I mean, you look at the team. Like, the team just everywhere they have solid. Like, Mike Conley, Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert, now Bogdanovic. Like, that is a really solid starting lineup.
Then they have Joe Ingles, Royce O'Neal.
What else they got this year?
Dante Exum. They signed Ed Davis, 2 years, $10 million. Jeff Green to the vet min. They got Emmanuel Mudiay. They have a good roster. They definitely do.
People don't understand how good Mike Conley is, too. Like, because Mike Conley's been buried in Memphis for so long that people forget how good he actually is.
Yep, I will agree with that. Mike Conley deserves more credit, and possibly playing in somewhere like Utah with different players and a different scheme can highlight that for everyone else to see. The Jazz are certainly interesting. Like, you can't deny that they I believe you said they're favorites to win. I think they're going to get a top 4 seed.
Yeah, absolutely. The fun fact here about the Jazz, now I'm looking at it, I don't think any of these players have ever made an All-Star game either. And I'm saying this.
No, you're right. Because the only two that would be eligible in my mind would be Gobert and Conley. And Conley's always been in the West, which has been very guard heavy since he's been in the league. And Gobert has only been in the league for about 4 or 5 years, and he hasn't been an all-star caliber big man. He's been a defensive all-star, but never a full.
Well, Gobert should have been in an all-star game by now. He's won two defensive players of the year. Like, he kind of needs to be an all-star. But yeah, that's the funny, like, oh, Gobert's never made an all-star game, even though he's 2-time defensive player of the year. I just checked. Conley's never made an all-star game. And, I mean, Donovan Mitchell is definitely – I mean, he's a good player. I don't think he's made an all-star game yet.
No. He's on his way.
No, nobody on this team has made an all-star game.
Well, they certainly – I mean, you don't need all-stars, really. You just need a bunch of really good players. I feel like that trend is starting to die, that you need 3 superstars to win a title. I feel like it's going to go back to – like, 2 is always fine. 2, and then a bunch of guys who are good enough to complement the 2. That's where I stand with it. Well, NBA free agency is crazy. You have anything to say to the people?
He's staying.
He's staying? Is that what you said?
That's all I'm saying.
All right. Well, thank you guys for listening to the Outlet Pass Podcast. You can follow it on Twitter at @pass_podcast, on Instagram, the Outlet Pass Podcast, Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Spotify, YouTube. Search the Outlet Pass Podcast. Subscribe, like, rate, review it 5 stars, repost, tell a friend to tell a friend, share it. That's basically it. Thank you for listening to the show. This has been the Outlet Pass Podcast. The ball being our opinions, and we're passing it out to you. Peace.